It's not appropriate for me to start this one off with a peace greeting based on what would happen if he knew anything about me and heard this and thought that I was worth a response. And I'm probably not. Based on the sheer number of people that know us, I may not be worth a response. However, I'm going to go ahead and state this, something that is quite obvious. First, I'm going to give shouts out to those who have supported not only me on Cash App. I want to support those who have super chatted and supported through Cash App others that have done similar to what I'm trying to do. MLR not only has been one of my most frequent supporters on Cash App, shout out to you, but he was very generous to Dr. Johnson. And I want to thank and recognize him for that. And there have been others that I don't know about yet. But when I find out about you, I'm going to thank you all as well for the others whom you supported. And I ask that Allah guide and then bless you. So to get right to this message, it's Omar Johnson. He's the enemy of our people. Omar Johnson has been aware of the black manosphere for a long time, and he now knows that it is not a joke. Everyone knows. I can tell from an ocean and a continent away that in actuality, Omar Johnson is aware of what the black manosphere's points are. Whether it's SYSBM, Passport Bros, Passport Gang, IBMOR, or even Passport Pookies, Brother Johnson knows what it is. I shouldn't even say Brother Johnson, but I'm using that sarcastically. I mean, I should call him Brother Omar Ifatunde Ooga Booga Johnson, but that would be an insult to anybody whose name is Ooga Booga. Honestly, let alone an insult to anybody whose name is Ifatunde. Brother Johnson, sorry. No Tep Johnson, Slow Step Johnson, now knows that it is cuckoldry. I want him to stop and think. When I looked up cuckold to try to see what was on about that and dual mating strategy, I found references. Now, I can't open up something like this anyway over here, but even here, I found references to a genre of dirty movies in which usually a Wyatt husband watches his wife get dug out by a brother, young brother, called a bull. And sometimes he goes ahead and then uses his tongue after the bull is finished. And that is the epitome of cuckoldry. And really two sites that were just descriptive of it. And they said that there was one that was just supposed to be descriptive, and it was blocked. And I was shocked to see that this is actually a genre of blue movies. That this is a genre within that adult genre itself. That while sisters up here trying to get them a zaddy, Zaddy's own wife is up here trying to get a bull and telling Zaddy in the corner what he's not and how ineffective he is and how inadequate he is. And she says, okay, you can come clean this up when the bull is done. Stop and think about, I'm shocked that that sort of thing even exists. I don't know how new it is or how old, but I want you to stop and think about how sick and disgusting those white male actors in these scenes must be to Omar Johnson. They're sick and disgusting to me. I understand that sentiment. What I'm saying, though, is why would Omar Johnson tell us to do something not quite as explicit and as unsanitary and as 9AY? But why would he tell us to do darn near the same thing? Because he's an enemy. Whether he knows it or not, whether he means to be or not, whether he intends to be or not, he is an enemy. See, Omar now knows at this point, he has to know that these fatherless youth come from the same few fathers. As a matter of fact, when these fatherless youth wind up getting together, there are higher and higher chances every decade of them getting with a half-sibling that they didn't know was a half-sibling. We know that this is a real concern because doctors have already told Dwight Hayes. You can ask him about it. Brother Hayes, did doctors tell you that more and more black babies are born with afflictions that used to be associated with incest? Ask him about it. A doctor told him this. It was either a doctor or a nurse. Someone in the medical profession told him this. More and more of our babies are being born with afflictions that did not hit our people and were correlated, highly correlated, not proven to be caused by, but correlated with, meaning they coincided a lot with known incest. Consanguinity. Do you see where this is going? This is bad, y'all. So, I'm telling you all about this because if Johnson is going to tell this to Western black men in a gynocracy that pretty much is trying to make black men more incel than what we may already be, and punish those normal men who would be incels if we weren't black with stepdaddy duty. Stop and think about this. Then that means that he would turn around and tell the same thing to black men on the continent. Now in some cities, it's the same damn thing. Lagos, them bitches ratchet. Call it what the F it is. They're materialistic, ratchet, about like Yankee sisters. They will tell you. I think the difference is that they're not getting up in men's faces to fight them, but they will tell you, if you ain't got that money, you're pretty much useless and worthless. I will replace you with a man who does. They'd rather share men with money than to have a man to themselves without it. That's who they are in southern Nigeria. Well, mostly Lagos. In Abuja, they're ratchet. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Now, Nairobi is getting that way. Cape Town and Joburg are going. South Africa's rural villages have a problem with single motherhood. The women there are not mean and crass and misandric, but they're still largely single moms bringing to these men high body counts and other men's kids. They're just not mean about it. So what's he going to say to these men over there? If those men look and they say, wait a minute, you know what? These Indian women are now starting to dig us, and they're not coming with high body counts and other men's kids. So maybe we'll give them a shot because we're tired of sisters of our own race always coming to us with high body counts than us and other men's kids. Miss Shuck that fit. Sick of that. Well, guess what the hell happens? He's going to sit up and say to them, you're sleeping with the enemy. Now, it may be true because they're sleeping with a woman of a particular background that are enemies to our people. But it is not true that just not getting with a sister makes you an enemy. Because if that's the case, most black men are going to wind up being enemies, even if they didn't mean to, even if they really weren't enemies from the start. They're going to wind up being seen as enemies because sisters don't want them. I don't have to tell y'all what that means. You know how that happens. Sisters don't want brothers. And then they look at you like it's your fault, like you did something wrong for being a normal man that they don't want. He doesn't have the decency to come along and tell you that it has to do with what they want, how they are. It is their fault. They don't have to like what they don't like, but when they wind up by themselves and can't find nobody and can't keep nobody, yeah, it's their fault because we're not the ones running from them. They're the ones running. They don't want the normal man. They're the ones insistent upon pretty much an impossible standard. And it's got to be that. And there's nothing else to it but that standard. And then anything other than that impossible standard is settling for less, settling for too little. And they're just not cheap like that. That's slutty. Now, you know, having kids with a bunch of different men, having more baby daddies and you got babies, that's not slutty. But actually being good to a normal guy and satisfying that normal guy below the belt, that's slutty to them. Can you imagine being faithful to a normal man that's a husband or a boyfriend that's a husband actually is slutty to them, but not actually being a slut. They're embarrassed for being too easy. So I want you to stop and factor that in. And he's sitting up and telling us to accept the results of that and save them from the consequences. How long? And if you want to know why I said that, ask yourself how long he knew about Kevin Samuels. ¿Cómo está, capo? Ask him how long he knew. How long ago did he find out? And that will be your answer. And that will be why I said that he is an enemy. And others like him that preach the same thing are enemies too. So with that being said, I hope that what I've said benefits you. And I appreciate you listening. And I thank you from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. As always, black heart, black mind, black out. And black heterosexual, non-select male power, black passport bro power, black SYSBM power, black IBMOR power, just because the likes of Ifatunde Johnson don't like it. Black incel power just because Samuel L. Jackson don't like it. Thank you for flying again with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.